And thankfully, I could clear the whole process and secure rank 31. So I think what I would like to share with you is that when you start preparing, make sure that firstly, you have a reason that why you are preparing for this exam, because the journey in itself is very long and you need to constantly motivate yourself. So that reason should stick with you. Secondly, choose your optional very, very wisely, because your optional will make or break the game for you. Until unless you score somewhere around 260 to 17, whatever optional you are choosing, it becomes very difficult to conclusively get a rank and get into your desired service. So let's talk about prelims first. So in my first attempt, I covered because I started preparing in 2018 after college and gave my prelims in 2019. So the strategy was very simple and it worked. And I think what caused 2 consecutive failures was that I tried to do a lot more. You need to stick to the basics. And this year, again, I went to the very basics. Keep your resources limited, the standard resource book that is there. Polity from Lakshmikant, Spectrum. Then you have geography, NCRTs, economics, whichever source suits you. I use Sriram IAS economic notes. So covering those notes and keeping it, make sure that no matter how difficult the prelims paper is, there are always 25 to 30 questions that are very simple, and you should target those questions. Once you are done with those 30 questions, that makes 60 marks, and apart from that, the cutoff that is going, it's 88, 90. I think this year it will be much lower. So getting those 25 to next 25, 30 marks becomes very easy if you secure those low-hanging fruits. So all your preparation for prelims should be focused on that, and that can be done using a lot of mock test papers. And another very, very important thing is solving previous year UPSC prelims papers. And those papers should be done in a time-bound manner. You stimulate the environment, do it from 9:30 in the morning to 11:30, and keep analyzing those papers, because you need to develop a mindset about what UPSC is asking. See, mocks help you prepare about the recent events, but mocks also complicates things. So keep those mocks just to build that knowledge base so that you don't get those static questions wrong, history ke questions ho gaye, polity ke questions ho gaye. But eventually, for those dynamic portions like science, tech, environment, you need to make sure that how UPSC thinks, where they are eliminating. कौन से option में only करके UPSC eliminate करता है, that knack needs to be developed, and that comes only with solving previous year UPSC questions. Another thing I'd like to share is how I used to attempt the paper. So I hope I know something. So generally what we do is we attempt the paper in 3 portions. The strategy was not working for me. Keep the number of attempts high. Mine this year were 94 or 95 attempts. So I prefer more than 85 attempts at every cost. Then I used a very unique strategy from taking it from one of my friends, 25 questions in 25 minutes. So I divided the 100 questions in 4 sections. And because when you attempt your paper you attempt in the first round, you mark very short questions, and you come back to question number 1. You're actually forgetting what the question number 1 was. And when you are keeping your number of attempts very high, the probability of losing or missing on those questions is that you don't have to skip a lot of questions. You're very sure about this. Then the strategy works like anything. So you are attempting first question, second question, and when you're done with question number 25, you come back to question number 1. So all this time you are maintaining a pace. There's urgency. What happens is by the time we are completing the first round, we miss the urgency. So first round is taking 1 hour and we have attempted only 30 questions. So I think then 70 questions in 1 hour, it's a disproportionate attempt to attempt the paper. So do 25 questions in 25 minutes, miss 1 or 2 questions only, and then go back to the next 25, and whatever you are leaving, for example, you are leaving 10 or 12 questions, those can be attempted in the last moment, in the last 20 or 15 minutes, and keep filling up the bubble so your mind also gets the rest required. You're constantly thinking. So this was the way I used to attempt my prelims paper, and I think this helped me, incorporating whatever I'm thinking on the moment in those questions, and not disproportionately focus on one question or miss another portion which is easier towards the end. Then I think I'll talk about current affairs. So for current affairs, I thought that reading the paper and making notes out of it is a little bit skewed in terms of input and output ratio. So I used to use Current Affairs magazine for prelims and for mains. I use Vision IAS material, PT 365, Mains 365, and monthly magazines. And that saves a lot of time. Sir has a different approach with respect to this. I think he'll discuss about this. I think one thing that you can do is you can always read the Indian Express Explain section. UPSC is constantly asking those questions, and Explain gives a very good perspective, and especially the polity questions about the speaker or the vice president or the way the Lok Sabha secretariat is working. Those questions are not there in Lakshmikant, but they're there in the Explain section. So keep a tab on those portions as well. Then for mains, I don't know how much depth you want me to cover. So I'll start with answer writing. So I think you should practice answer writing from the very beginning. Don't try to stress too much. Write 2 answers daily. You can pick up questions from anywhere. They can be previous year questions. They can be daily questions various websites are posing. They can be used from any topper's copy you are referring. Take up 2 questions, write those answers and refer back. So what happens is you improve on the way you are studying also when you are doing such exercises. So if you are reading a question on federalism, now when you read Lakshmikant, you'll have a understanding of how to approach federalism wala topic in Lakshmikant also, because you need to write down and you remember that you missed it. You couldn't jot it down on the paper. So I think answer writing should be a continuous habit, because another thing that I would like to tell about myself, that I have a very high mains written score of 868 this year. I don't know, my handwriting is coming out very bad. I don't have such a bad handwriting. And this is a very good score, and all my success is owed to this written score only. And that's why I emphasize on answer writing. Practice as much as you can, and practice as per previous year questions of UPSC. Keep the syllabus in front of you all the time so that you don't divert from different topics that you are reading. You can determine the scope of topics when you are referring to previous year question. For example, I'll tell you, when you are going through economics, GS3, you need to see that the UPSC syllabus specifies that government budgeting is a topic. So don't deviate or beat around the bush. Go and read the budgeting questions that they are asking, how they are asking, and prepare your notes accordingly. And that will, consolidate your studies and make sure that all your energy is invested in the right direction. So always keeping the syllabus in front of you and keep cross-referring the previous UPSC question. In fact, even in optional, whatever your optional is, always keep the syllabus in front of you, always refer previous year questions. That's indispensable for the preparation. Then make sure you prepare those topics for mains which are not covered during prelims. For example, internal security is there, then international relations is there, then disaster management, governance. These topics can be prepared from anywhere. You can use any coaching materials, static notes, you can use any topper static notes, or you can prepare your own notes. Keep Googling them and prepare those notes again with respect to the syllabus. Write the terms that are in the syllabus and keep making or building upon those, and try to make crisp notes so that you can revise the whole GS3 after GS2. After you have written the GS2 paper and you come back home, you should be able to revise your GS3 in just 2 or 3 hours. So that is about note making and answer writing. Again, I'll also give you something with respect to ethics. For ethics, because there is no standard book one can follow, after reading any basic text with respect to the syllabus, what I did was I prepared the definition of each and every term in the syllabus, examples on every term, plus a quotation on every term, and made sure that whenever I'm attempting a question, those examples, those quotations, those definitions, and those terms that are in the syllabus gets repeated in those answers. For example, if there is a question that an unexamined life is worth living, this not worth living. So this is a quote that UPSC has given some years back. So I would make sure that I have very diverse examples. So I'll give a social example, political example, administrative example. So prepare these examples well before the paper, because otherwise you're thinking also, writing also, it becomes very tedious and you end up not completing the paper. Then how many hours one needs to study? Another dreaded question. As much as you can put in, which is quality effort. If you're sitting for 12 hours and you're effectively putting in 3 hours, it makes no sense. You're not there to show someone else how many hours you're studying. 6 hours of quality studies also helps. Mine used to be 7 to 8 hours almost daily. On bad days, it used to drop to 3 or 4 hours also. Everyone is human. And for prelims, I used to sit in 2 hours of sitting. So that is with respect to the paper. I'll sit for 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours, and 2 hours. And for mains, I used to bring it up to 3, 3, and 3. So this can be even less, but 3 hours of 2 sittings is important. And always, whenever you are writing your test, attempting previous year questions, try to do it in a time-bound manner. So try to write the test in the same time slot that UPSC writes. So you are attempting your test in 9 to 12, then 2 to 5. So that will keep your body clock synchronized with the exam. I don't think being a night owl helps, especially if you're writing the prelims or the mains in that year. So keep your body clock synchronized. Then another thing I'll share is that because this exam is very unpredictable, it took me 4 attempts, it might have taken 4, 5, and I could have 6, and maybe I could not have cleared it. So don't try to latch your personal self-esteem to the exam. A lot of bright students, very intelligent, very hardworking, don't make it through. So keep a backup. Having a backup keeps your mental health very sound. Make sure that whenever you're putting in your effort into the exam, you are wholeheartedly preparing, and whenever there is a speck of doubt and you feel that now I have given everything, you have something to fall back upon. So having a backup takes out that unpredictable failure out of the exam. This is something I did not do, and I strongly feel that everyone should do it. Come after taking a job, after graduation, take a job, do it for 2-3 years. It helps you develop a certain sense of maturity. You can give your attempts till 32. There is no urgency that you need to clear it in 22. So have a backup, sound backup, which is very workable. Then be disciplined and consistent without being without putting everything every day. When you're preparing, if you're preparing for 1 year, if you're preparing for 2 years, you need to put in every ounce of hard work that you can. Because effectively, when you're not clearing the exam, it's only you who is getting impacted. It's your finances, your emotional, your mental health. So make sure that even when you're failing, you can tell yourself that I gave my best. There is nothing more I could have done, and now let's see what happens. Then last thing I'll say, then Nitin sir can come and share his journey, that believe in the process. God has great plans for each one of us, and the dots do connect eventually. And remember to take short breaks. Rejuvenate yourself. I took a break after prelims this year, after mains, after forest mains, after interview, and that helps you to come back and give it all. So if you're facing a certain amount of failure right now, if you're self-doubting, take 4 days off, 3 days off, go with your friends, party, have some alone time, meditate, read a book, pursue a hobby, do whatever you want, and then come back with more vigor. So I think that will help you. Thank you so much. So I'll share my score for public administration first. So in my first attempts, my paper 1 score was 78. Paper 2 was 139. This was the sole reason I couldn't clear mains. This year, my paper 1 score is 153, and paper 2 score is again 139. So I maintained this and almost doubled this. So I think for public administration, it's very important that you figure out the important topics in paper 1. So these are chapter 1, introduction. Then there is thinkers, public policy, comparative public administration, developmental administration. I think these 5 topics are the major chunk of paper 1. Have good examples, have a good grasp of what the theory, each theory is. For example, if there is PCA, sir, I can show this. So if there is PCA or there is NPM, make sure that you have your terminology very, very crisply on your fingertips. So as soon as you see NPM, you need to make sure that there are 3 terms that will come is institutional pluralism, exit choice, and citizens as customers. I think these 3 terms should immediately pop in your head. So prepare these topics first, and the rest is just very easy for public administration. And I think preparing for paper 2. Paper 2 can be done. I used Aribam for my basic understanding, and then I prepared my own notes from Google searches, and ARC2. You can refer Anudeep sir's ARC notes. They are very, very good and very crisp also. And these can help in GS2 as well, ARC2 notes of Anudeep sir. So for paper 2, you prepare topic-wise examples from current topics. And if I think if it's with respect to the sources that I referred for paper 1 and paper 2, the doubt, then for paper 1, I used Vajiram's classroom course, classroom handwritten notes, and Mohit Bhattacharya, New Horizons, and Prasad, no other textbook. And for paper 2, just Aribam as the basic source and building upon those basic notes more and more. One thing that I very much would like to tell you that from here to here, how it came, I used previous year toppers copies a lot. So what I used to do was that I'll open a previous year's toppers copy and I'll take that question, write it on my own, go back to what the topper has written and find those structural gaps. If my structure is missing, example is missing, my definition was not on point. So eventually, when I kept on repeating this practice, eventually I could stimulate the topper's answers, and this can be done in any optional if you are not able to score good. This is the best thing that can be done. Because with the optional, I think there is no one giving you good previous year question model answers or someone who's checking your previous year question. So if you are even writing, you don't know whether you are writing it rightly or wrongly. So this guy has done it, or this girl has done it already for you. Copy those answers. Keep reading those answers, and eventually you will, come to a certain level where you can self-analyze your own answers that, okay, I missed this. I could have drawn a flowchart over here. I could have written an example over there. So I think that helps. So over to Nitin sir now.
Good afternoon, everyone. And my name is Nitin Singh, and I hail from Kathua district in Jammu and Kashmir. And it's the entering one district while you enter Jammu and Kashmir. So it's a gateway to Jammu and Kashmir.
Hi.
And I have done my graduation in computer science and engineering. And after that, I have come straight for UPSC preparation. And this year, it was my 3rd attempt. And this year, I've got rank 32. And my optional was geography. So this was the basic intro. And I have prepared a timeline for you that how will I proceed. So first of all, let me tell you about scores that I've got this year, and the last year mains also I will tell you, and prelims also. So the first, these are the attempts. This is prelims, mains, and interview. First prelims I've got 87 something. Second I've got 108. And this year I got 112. And in mains it was not cleared. In mains here I've got 687. And this year I got 827 and 195. ठीक है, उसके बाद ऊपर बात में आते हैं. This was the marks and this is the scorecard that I've got for 3 years, and I can say that I've improved by hitting and trialing. And there was the one thing that I would share with you is your preparation should be very dynamic, and whenever you fail or you are not getting what you want, then you need to do the same thing in a different way. So it is the dynamicity that you should have in your preparation, and your preparation should be conscious at every moment. Like, where am I going, what is required of me, and how am I doing? And it should be honest assessment of self. So this is something that you should keep with you throughout the preparation. Or this was something that I did. I honestly assessed my mistakes, and whatever I had to do, I did in the next attempt. And one thing I would say is consistency. This is an exam which requires academic performance, of course, but it requires very high level of maturity of how you handle various problems in life, various time management issues like almost all of us are living outside our homes. We are out of our comfort zone, and we